Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our compassionate weekly accountability meeting. I am so glad that you are here with me tonight, as usual. And this week, inside our Self Worth Hub membership, we had this very rich conversation about this very delicate topic: food, shame, and self soothing. And it was a very intimate and hands on group coaching call. In fact, it was yesterday where members shared openly and practiced new tools and ways to tackle this challenge with compassion and awareness. And tonight, I want to expand on that for all of you here on YouTube. And whether you struggle with overeating, restricting, binging, or just feeling out of control with food, this conversation is for you. I also want to disclose that this is from a trauma informed perspective. I am not a medical doctor. If you're new here, nice to meet you. I am Karina Ivar Jacobs. I am a licensed psychotherapist and coach on a mission to help you heal from dysfunctional family dynamics, parentification, and complex trauma that may be impacting your interactions as an adult. My hope is that you will walk away with insight, with compassion, and practical ways to take care of yourself differently. All right? And I will be live within the comments to provide you with any answers, to say hello, and any comments that you may have, feel free to post them below. Okay? All right. I want to share that food soothing and trauma go hand in hand. So let's start with that understanding. When you grow up in a dysfunctional family, maybe you were parentified, emotionally neglected, or constantly criticized. So you didn't have constant comfort. So in those moments, food often became the source of comfort because food did not abandon you. Food did not yell at you. Food did not criticize you, right? So it makes perfect sense that now, as an adult, when you feel stressed, lonely, or triggered, then your nervous system automatically reaches for food. And I also want to emphasize that if you suspect that this is getting out of control and that you may have an eating disorder, to please reach out for support, seek the advice and the professional help of a medical doctor and a team that specializes on eating disorder. Okay? Here's what I want you to know. That is not weakness. It is a survival mechanism. It is a coping strategy that you learned early on. In fact, food soothing, as we call it in the trauma field, fits directly into the trauma response system. By now, you may be familiar with the 4 F's of trauma, which is fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. So let's correlate it to this. Let's say that you're a fight response, then eating with intensity or binging to push down feelings, maybe your go to. Okay? Or if you have been criticized about your body image, then you're just doing it out of rage. And let's say that you're a flight response, then restricting or over controlling to escape feelings may be your go to. You may also resort to, let's say you're watching a show and you want to ignore whatever anxiety or stressors are going on. So you escape by doing that, watching a show, a movie, whatever it is, and snacking mindlessly to self soothe, right? Let's say that you are a freeze response, then disassociating while eating or zoning out may be your go to. And let me say that we can vacillate between all of them. Most of the time, we default to two responses. And let's say fawning, right? The fawn response, which is eating to please others or avoid conflict. What do I mean by this? I want to share it from this perspective. And you may resonate with this if you come from dysfunctional family dynamics. If you come from a family where accountability and I'm sorry is not in their vocabulary, or I can see how my actions or my behavior made you feel that way. If that is non existent, then very likely instead you were offered a plate of food, maybe your favorite meal. But that conversation that hurt your feelings, it's never brought up. So your way of coping is to accepting that it'll never happen, that that is not in their vocabulary or the capacity. So you just cope by continuing within the cycle. And let me say, it's not your fault, but it is very common within family dynamics that are dysfunctional, where there is lack of accountability and lack of emotional maturity. And why is this important? Because recognizing this helps us shift the question from what's wrong with me to what is this urge protecting me from? What is it trying to soothe? You see the difference? And let me know in the comments. I will be live answering any questions, or let me know if this resonates. Comment I. If you feel comfortable sharing also your experience, I cannot wait to hear from you. I read each comment, every one of them. Okay, so let's talk about the real wound, because the hardest part is not usually the food itself, but the shame that comes afterwards. That inner critic, that voice that tells you, you see, you have no discipline. You're out of control. This is why you look like this. And I want to say, more often than not, we have a distorted sense of how we look and who we are, because that inner critic is so heightened, it's so developed in there. So you feel this shame and think to yourself, wow, I'll never change. This is impossible. So you give up and you may feel helpless over it. However, I want to offer you a reframe. You are not sabotaging. You are soothing. And that is very different from shaming yourself and giving in to this inner critic. And you were very resourceful to find a way to survive when you had no other option. So I want you to pause right now and give yourself credit, because it is not easy to cope with the reality of being invalidated, neglected, and having constant stress. The real wound, the real wound is not food. It is the shame you have carried. Shame that often sounds like the voices of critical caregivers, parents, immature family members who make you feel small, who probably are consistently or were consistently shaming you, body shaming you, commenting on your looks. And trust me, I can relate to that with some folks. And that is why we want to tackle what is underneath this tendency. I want you to imagine this. Every time that you reach for food to soothe, very likely it may be your younger self reaching out. And at that moment, I would invite you to reflect on this. Maybe it is the 6-year-old who was sent to bed hungry. Maybe it is the 12-year-old, the teenager who ate in secret because they felt unlovable. They felt extremely anxious and had no one to turn to, or did not feel safe to. Or maybe it is your younger self who found food to be the only reliable source of comfort or friend, quote unquote. So here is a practice that I want you to try this week. As you know, I like to leave you all with some prompts and reflections and practices. Before eating, I want you to pause for a few seconds, ideally for 2 minutes. And I want you to ask yourself, what is my inner child actually needing right now? Again, what is my inner child actually needing right now? And then respond as your loving inner parent. I want you to tell yourself, you are safe. You are not bad for needing comfort. I am with you. Because imagine if you don't have your back, then who will? So even if you still choose food afterward, that moment of compassion interrupts the shame, the cycle, and that is healing. And that is a way of practicing mindfulness. Perhaps you want to drink a glass of water, tea, take inventory of what you have eaten to find out whether you're eating out of anxiety or you are genuinely hungry or thirsty. So, that being said, I want to pause and ask any of you, what are some ways that have helped you? What are your struggles? Think about it, share it in the comments, and let me know if at some point you have realized, you know what, I'm eating out of anxiety. Because as you can see, if we pause, then we can realize that we have more control and we can be compassionate to respond to this tendency to food soothe. Okay? I want to also offer you this idea of expanding your menu of options. Okay? Your comforting menu. I'm not going to tell you to stop eating for comfort. No one should. This is a very delicate matter. It's very unique to each one of you. No one should have the right to tell you what to do or to shame you. That doesn't work. And it usually makes the shame spiral worse. So instead, let's add to your menu of options for self-soothing. Let's think about these simple but effective practices that you can try before or alongside with food so that we can rewrite the script and our relationship with food. Number one, it's I want you to wrap yourself in a blanket and rock. This is something that my members really liked. It's so simple, right? But when you think about it, when we were babies, we loved being rocked to bed. We fell asleep. And why is that? It's because it activates our parasympathetic nervous system. This is a somatic experiencing exercise. So, rocking, tapping ourselves, doing the butterfly hug, right? And just giving ourselves that compassion and feeling wrapped around our blanket can be a source of comfort. And that would be a good opportunity to reflect on how you feel so that you can write it down and acknowledge it. Another practice I want to offer you is to splash water on your face. And I did share this yesterday with my members that it is a practice that we used to do when I used to be a part of, this amazing anti-domestic violence program from the Dominican Women's Development Center, Nuevo Amanecer. And we used to treat and see a lot of survivors of intimate partner violence and domestic violence and their children. So imagine we were dealing with a lot of trauma. And That can lead to vicarious trauma. And often, because they were so intense, some of the cases, we used to splash water on our face or go to the bathroom and wash our hands with cold water. And it is a way of grounding ourselves within our bodies, coming back to the present moment, right? So that it's a simple and effective way of grounding ourselves. Splashing water on your face, cold water on your hands, holding an ice cube as well. Okay. Another one is to place a hand on your chest. And once you do, whisper to yourself, if you cannot say it out loud, you are safe now. It is a way of reminding your inner child that your loving inner parent is there for them. As you self-soothe, you can play one comforting song. If you have been here before, you know that I have suggested to all of you to create a rage playlist and an uplifting one. Because music, as you know, I don't need to tell you this. I think you all know that music can be so influential, so transformational. It can really ignite a lot of fire, a lot of emotions in us, whether that is sadness, romantic feelings, grief, joy, happiness. It would be great if you play one comforting song before you reach out for food, right? And this is not to shame you, but rather to be mindful of how you are feeling and expanding your comfort menu. And extra bonus for you if you decide to dance, because we want to release some endorphins and get rid of some of that cortisol that causes a lot of stress, right? And another strategy that I want to offer you, which, it's very common, but there's a reason why it's so common and effective, and it's to journal a quick note to your inner child. Again, if you're not into journaling or writing, then use your phone's voice note and dictate to yourself what it is that you feel to your inner child. Because I can assure you, once you reference it in the future, you will realize that those emotions are in motion and it is not permanent. And you have the tools and resilience to move forward. Now, the last one that I want to offer you, and of course, it's always recommended to reach out to a trusted friend or person. Text them and share how you feel. Maybe bounce some ideas back, maybe support each other. And if you are a Self-Worth Up member, don't forget to reach out to your compassionate accountability partner or simply post it in the community. I'm there for all of you. Send me a voice note. And that is a way that you can let it out of your system, but do not isolate. And I want to say that food can still be there, but it no longer has to be your only option, your only lifeline. Does that make sense? Let me know below. I want to hear what you are willing to practice this week. Let me know. I'll be on the lookout, all of you. Okay? I know that yesterday some people commented how pausing, it was so simple, but that was really effective for them. And before we close our live stream, as usual, I want to leave you with some prompts. As usual, because if you are a regular here, you know that there is a little homework each time or self-reflection prompts. So my challenge for all of you this week is to think about the last time you soothed with food. When was that? Think about it. So I want to give you a moment to write it down and reflect on this. Pause the video. And then ask yourself what was happening right before. What was happening right before? And then ask yourself, What did you feel during? What did you feel during? And then, what did the inner critic say after? What did the inner critic say after? And how could you reframe it with compassion? Write it down or share it in the comments, of course, if it feels comfortable. I will also link it below. I'll post it in the comments afterwards. And remember that this act of reflection builds self awareness and creates a little more choice next time. It is a way of practicing mindfulness before jumping into reactively food soothe. Again, one step at a time, one baby step, one self soothing practice at a time. I want to also emphasize that anyone who tells you that they can overcome this overnight, I would say I strongly disagree. I also want to share with you something that I shared with my members, and it is from the book Complex Trauma From Surviving to Thriving. I love this author, Pete Walker. I have connected with him via email. I admire his work. And I want to share with you something that resonated so much and that it is common with my clients and members. And this is, let me see if I find exactly, if you don't mind me looking for it, I want to share this. And that is that, yes, a client left a note for him. It says, yes, a client left this quote on my waiting room bulletin board. Alcohol and other eating disorders is like taking that tiger. I'm sorry, alcohol and other drug recovery is like dealing with a tiger in a cage. But recovery from eating disorders is like taking that tiger out of the cage 3 times a day and then taking it for a walk. I mean, imagine we need food for survival. So if you have a dysfunctional relationship with food, it makes sense that it takes time, patience, and it requires a very sensitive and slow approach. Therefore, deconstructing food addictions then is daunting work that is to be approached gradually and with a sense of compassion. As with the author, I would highly recommend that instead you turn to other resources. Again, seek the support of a medical doctor if you suspect that you're having an eating disorder, and specialists that deal with this directly, because as a psychotherapist, we are often working alongside a medical doctor when it comes to food disorders, if that is the area of expertise, because this is very delicate and it could become very dangerous to try to work on this prematurely or with unrealistic expectations as well. So I want to offer another resource, and that is by author Janine Roth. I'm hoping that I am pronouncing their name right. And it is their book, Breaking Free from Compulsive Eating, which also offers a moderate and sensible approach to dietary improvement. So I'm hoping that you find that helpful. And unless any of you has any questions, and I will be in the comments even afterwards, I will be reading each and one of your comments. I want to again emphasize how tonight we explored how food soothing is not sabotage. It is a survival mechanism, and how the real wound is shame and not food itself. This is about progress and not perfection, one day at a time. It is about adding more compassion and more options to self soothe and more inner safety. I want to also invite you to go deeper into this. And if you would like to go deeper with me and our wonderful members in this kind of healing and growth work, just like the members who joined me yesterday, I would encourage you to learn more about our Self-Worth Hub membership. Enrollment, it's about to close this week. After that, you would be placed on a wait list. So check it out. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have. This is a wonderful space to be compassionately heard and seen, where we do this work in real time together. But even if you're just here with me on YouTube, I am grateful for your time and energy and trust to be here. Remember to subscribe so that you do not miss any of our future live streams and insightful videos. And remember, please, that you are not broken. You're just in need of comfort. You are healing when you choose compassion over criticism and shame. I will see you all in the next video, in the next live stream. And please, please remember your resilience. Take care, everyone.